everyone. My speech title is A Self-Portrait, and my speech consists of 3 parts. The first part is my personal background, and the second part is some inward traits, including a hobby that I have never told anyone. And the final part is my conclusion. Okay, here comes the first part. My name is Coco, and my Chinese name is Tsai. I bet none of you guys are interested in knowing how to write those Chinese characters because it will be a total nightmare for foreign friends here. So I'm gonna shift my focus on my birthday. I was born on September 24th, 1998, which makes me 19 years old now. So I'm not an elementary school student. I majored in biochemistry at NTU, and the reason why I chose this major is because I am fascinated with the inner workings of our bodies, and I'm also the kind of person who likes to know the details in our bodies. So I think delving into mechanisms and structure of our life, the building blocks of life, is a good way to satisfy my curiosity. Now I want to talk about my hometown, which is Kaohsiung. Yes, I come from the southern part of Taiwan, and I do miss the warm weather and the sun there. We didn't have many rains in my hometown, so actually living here is quite hard for me. And for those of you who are used to the weather in Taipei, I think maybe you guys will think it's quite trivial. But to me, it's very hard to live in a winter with seemingly endless drizzle. And as a southerner, I think it's my obligation to talk about some myths, to debunk some myths related to our lifestyles. Among all of the absurd myths that I've heard throughout the years, the one that I love the most, and it's quite funny, is that we ride wild boars. We ride wild boars in southern part of Taiwan, which is very funny. And I think, come on, that's total nonsense. Like saying Australians ride kangaroos go to school. We have safer choices like MRT, train station, buses, motorcycles, and I think those wild boars have safer choices too. Another myth is that Southerners tend to be more outgoing and friendlier in general, but actually I think this is just a stereotypical impression. Take myself for example, I'm actually an introvert, but maybe you guys are doubting this right now because what you see is a girl standing on stage talking boring stories as if everyone bothers to hear, but actually what you cannot see is my pounding heart and the will to conquer my stage fright. What about my personal interests? I love reading, writing, singing, and sketching. Speaking of sketching, I actually have a weird habit stemming from this activity, and this leads us to the second part of my speech, my inward traits and a secret. I love sketching because intrinsically I am an aficionado for nuances and details, especially those in human faces. So I actually have a weird habit of people watching. Here, I'm not referring to its common meaning. Instead, I mean watch people's faces intently. I remember that when I was in junior high school, I watched my classmate's face while she was chatting with me. And she was so uncomfortable that she told me that to get rid of this strange behavior. From then on, I've been reminding myself of how impolite this hobby is. And so consequently, I don't do it anymore, so you guys can relieve now. Yeah. And as a weirdo who likes to watch people's faces, this makes me think of a question. Do I ever look intently at myself? Do I ever pay attention to the changes on myself throughout all these years? The answer is no. It seems like a self-introduction is the last topic that I would choose if I were to give a public speech. I'm more willing to talk about the biochemistry and distant galaxies than the very person standing right in front of you. This is a serious problem. What's the use of knowing the substituents that's sustaining my life without even understanding myself as a person? What's the use of knowing plant structure without even understanding its host? Thanks to this speech, I got to look closely at myself and see my flaws and strengths and weakness. As just like Antoine Saint-Exupéry once said, to live is to be slowly born. And I believe that I will discover myself more and more as time goes by. Hopefully, this self-portrait will be the best one that I've ever drawn. Thank you, everyone.
Hi. First of all, congratulations for your C1 speech. And I love your speech because you gave us a very clear voice and very clear structure. Just like you told us what's your speech structure before the speech. And about icebreaker, the C1's topic, you told us a lot of your hobbies, where you're from, and also some experience of your life. So I always love speakers to tell us not only what he or she is, but also some experience or story of she or him to share something interesting to us. So that's the good part a lot. But here's only a few humble suggestions for you. It's maybe next time you can try not to tell us the structure of your speech, because maybe it's better for us to understand that which part you start to conclude your speech and which part you start to talk about your experience, instead of tell us, oh, I will give you a speech which is the first part is what and second part is what. So maybe next time you can try it. It could be better for me. And also, it's really, I love this stereotype because I'm from Tsai, and my friends always tell me like, on the news or somewhere, my friends tell me you ride turkey to school or something. Oh no! Or sometimes they say maybe you eat turkey rice from breakfast to lunch to dinner. Yeah, for me maybe, but sometimes only. Yeah, so congratulations. I think most of you are looking forward to your C2 speech.
So, first of all, congratulations, Coco, for finishing your C1 speech. I wish to say that your speech is really good. You spoke really fluently. You're also very confident. I can see that you're standing straight in front of everybody and looking into everybody's eyes. I think that is a very, very good point. Even as a C1 speaker, usually people are more nervous because it's the first time on stage. But you don't seem to have those problems, so that is a very good point. And then one sentence that you have said, not an elementary student, I think that it is a very good way of telling a joke, because people, this is a very clever way, because you just need to say this one sentence and everybody knows what you mean, and it's a very good sense of humor. I like that very much. And then I think that your structure is a double-edged sword. Why do I say this? Because by having a structure, it makes it easier to remember it. You can have a mental structure of what you're going to say, this part, and then this part, and then conclusion. It's a very good way of preparing your speech, but I don't think that it is the best way to talk in front of everybody. I think that telling everybody in advance what the structure is is not really that suited to this kind of speeches. It can be used, but not really these type of speeches. Maybe next time when you go to C2, when you level up to C2, you can use this kind of structure if you want to talk about the subject, a particular subject that is, for example, biochemistry. That is going to be very helpful for the audience too. They're going to understand it in advance what they're going to get first, right? But in this case, it's a self-introduction. I don't think that you really need to use that. And then the second suggestion is that this is a very nitpicky one because I can hear that your English is very good, but I do these mistakes too all the time, and it is the us. Yeah, you see that. By how to reduce your R's, the best way to reduce your R's is that every time you're going to say an R, you just pause. Every time you kind of forget what you're going to say next, you pause. Every time you pause, people don't realize that you forget. But every time you say people know that you forget. It is a very nitpicky point, but overall, I think that your speech is a very well-made one, so congratulations. Thank you.
Hello, Coco, well done. I have different point of view with the former two judges because I think point out the points that you want to say before your speech is kind of the strategy. You tell us that you are going to tell us background, hobby, and conclusion. I think it's fine. 3 points, very clear. The only thing is that I think conclusion is not just a point. Conclusion is the bottom of your speech. So probably the third point, you can use other things to replace that. And I think your structure is good, voice is clear, and you seems like you have confidence, but I think you talk too fast. I think your whole speech is too fast for people wants to get to know about you because we don't know about you before the speech. So probably you could slow down a little bit. When you tell us some interesting or just like the sketch, you like to see people's face. Probably that part you should stretch a little bit. You can slow down and use some toss or some words to metaphor it. That would be more interesting because the whole session will a little bit fast. Yeah, but I think you still did a good job for the first speech.
I think most of the judges cover all, but I would say that you are a potential speaker, and your voice quite sweet, and also you have vocal variety, and also I didn't see you were nervous. I would say that your content is very good, and you conclude your speech with a quotation. I think same as the first speaker. I think this is a good strategy. You have a conclusion for your speech. If I need to give you some suggestions, I would say that perhaps you can have more smiles on your face. I know your numbers, but you can try to smile. And you say that you're not the elementary school students. Maybe you can say in another way. Say many people ask me if you were elementary school students. Maybe for make the audience laugh and try to slow the pace. Then the audience will realize, okay, that's a joke. And audience supposed to laugh. But that's my suggestion. And I have also a minor language comments that I heard you say we don't have many or much rain in Kaohsiung. And that's a mistake, right? So perhaps you can say we don't have many rainy days in Kaohsiung. That sounds better. But overall, you did a wonderful job. I think you're a potential speaker. Congratulations.
Thank you, Coco.